Hello YouTube, video number 3 out of the mini-series. And this is a little bit more information about housing your new snake. Basically you have two options if you get a new snake. Either you put it in a sort of a quarantine enclosure, or in, it's sort of permanent enclosure. If you have many snakes at home, or maybe not even many, but the ideal, of course, is always to take a new animal and put it in a quarantine enclosure. So it can be a rack like this, but it can also be just a single tub with a heat mat under, or maybe a lamp above, or it can be a small terrarium as well. But take something that is separate from the rest of your collection. Because it's always good to trust somebody, and I hope if you buy a snake from me that you trust they are healthy. I do my best at least. And well, I can say for myself that I don't sell sick snakes. But yeah, you never know, of course. It can be, what's it called? Mites, bloedmites, mites, or something like that. It's in corn snakes, it's not the most common, but in boas and pythons it's a little bit more common. So yeah, you don't want to take a snake that has mites and put it with your other snakes and then everything has mites, for instance. But it could also be other illnesses or diseases that they have, of course. So ideally you want to put a new snake always separate from the rest of your collection. And then the easiest way to do that is in a plastic box, because you can easily clean it and disinfect it. And if you don't need it anymore, just store it somewhere. So you don't have to buy a big giant glass terrarium just for like a month of quarantine and then throw that the terrarium out. That's a shame, of course. So don't do that. On the other hand, if you are just a hobbyist and you have no snakes at all at home, and you just buy one snake or two snakes from one seller, for instance, you don't need any quarantine, because it doesn't matter, because there's no other snakes to infect with anything, of course. So if you have no snakes at all, then quarantine is not needed. And well, if you maybe just have one snake at home and you buy a second snake and it's from a reliable source. It sounds so stupid to say about yourself, of course, so I think I'm quite reliable, but still, quarantine is the best. But if you just have one snake and you buy another one and you think, well, it's perfectly fine, or maybe you bought a first snake from me 2 months ago and you buy a second snake now, then quarantine is not per se needed. But how do you house it then? Well, as you might know, I use the 1.3 liter Braplas boxes for the babies. And usually around November or December, then I actually put them in a 3 liter Braplas, because especially the older ones, they just grow and they will fit in there. But yeah, it's a little bit more comfortable if they have twice the space, of course. But a lot of people, of course, if you just have 1 or 2 snakes as a hobby, you want to have it in a nice terrarium. And it can be a small terrarium or a big terrarium. But make sure that it's all set up and ready to go before you buy your snakes, of course. And keep in mind, if a baby snake comes out of a small box, then it is quite a difference from this to a big terrarium, which is not a bad thing. More space is always better, and more maybe temperature gradients, and a little light here and a dark spot here, and that's all good. So definitely, don't get me wrong, but it is again a stress situation, just like I talked about in the first video. So yeah, make sure it is decorated then really well, especially the babies. They like to hide everywhere they can, besides usually in a real hide box, sort of. It sounds stupid, but a baby corn snake will rather hide in like a fake plant that is hanging from top to bottom. They can just climb in there, but also hide really well. Or they will hide in the bedding. If you have a nice thick layer of bedding, like wood chips or whatever, they also can dig in there and they like to hide. Or if you have some branches, they maybe will hide in like a little slit that's in one of the branches. Most people, they mean really well and they put like a plastic hide here, or maybe like a skull hide or something like that. But usually it's sort of a little too big for the snakes to be hiding under. And most snakes like a really tight hiding spot. So if it's a really big hiding spot for a really small snake, usually they don't like to go in there. So for decorating purposes, it's fine. But yeah, keep in mind to make sure they have a lot of hiding spaces. And that's also always a shame for me. That's why I also have some videos in Dutch about how to decorate a terrarium. It's always such a shame for me to see somebody with a nice big terrarium and they paid quite some money for it. And they have like a water bowl and a hide and maybe a branch. And then I think, oh, you can do so much more with it. So especially the height is important. So put branches upwards and then put some fake plants over it, like the hanging plants. So the snakes can hide there, but also climb up there. That's also good. And they have more temperature differences, because at the top it probably is a little warmer than at the bottom. And so you create way more living space basically by decorating a terrarium nicely. So of course for a quarantine box, keep it as simple as possible and easy to clean and stuff like that. But for a nice terrarium, decorate it well, and basically the busier you make your terrarium, so the more branches and sticks and fake plants and stuff that you have, the more you will see your baby snakes, because if a baby snake is crawling around and it thinks, oh, if something scary happens, then I can hide there, or I can hide there, or I can hide there, then it will just start moving around. If you basically have one big terrarium with one hide, probably your snake is not going to move a lot, because it just wants to be in the hide, because there's nowhere else to escape to, basically. Keep in mind that a baby snake also gets eaten in the wild by all sorts of animals. So it is a hunter, but it's also a prey. So keep that in the back of your mind and make it as nice as possible for your snake before you pick it up at a reptile show. Am I forgetting something? Oh yeah, the size of a terrarium we quickly talked about. So can a snake have a too big enclosure? No, because in the wild they also have a lot of space, but it has to be decorated properly, of course, and the temperature needs to be well controlled. So that will become more difficult the bigger your terrarium gets. But if you decide to keep a baby corn snake, what I did with my first snake is I had like a glass terrarium of like, I don't know, 30 centimeters or something. So it's not too big, but the snakes sort of have enough space and you can decorate it easily. But you can always sort of upgrade like every half year or year to a bigger terrarium. But some people say, yeah, but I don't want to have like now a 30 centimeter terrarium and then a 60 centimeter before I go to a meter terrarium. So if you have a terrarium of like a meter by 50 by 50, so that's in, for the Americans, it's about 3.5 feet by, well, let's say 2 by 2 or something like that. That's sort of a standard size that we use a lot for corn snakes. Then that's also fine, but decorate it wisely and correctly. Again, I'm talking a lot. I'm notice looking at the screen here with the minutes in the top. So let's go look at some more snakes again. Well, we will continue with clutch 111 because here we have some more scaleless amber motleys, but with the Syrah. So, damn it. Well, so this is a male, but there are also females. So yeah, these are actually also, well, I really like the look of scaleless amber, but also genetically they're powerful, of course. And some of them like this are almost patternless. So then we have clutch 112, some Aztec males. This is Aztec ghost male. As soon as I go to the second, zoom, 2x sort of, then the camera gets grainy, so I will zoom out a bit more. But well, this is Ghost Aztec male, and we have Hypo Snow males as well with quite some pink. Yeah, the father is also really pink, so yeah, who doesn't like pink snakes? If you like pink snakes, then you should like this video. Ha, I'm such a good YouTuber, getting all the likes. Then we have some palmettos from clutch 113. They also have a leaf. They are all, besides one or something, all feeding on frozen thorns quite well, like 4 times in a row, but they were pretty small as babies, so I'd like to give them some extra hiding spots. And these came from the 2 patched parents, so yeah, most of them are actually quite funny looking, like quite some freckles. And some of them also have like a head stamp, like this one. So this is the only female. And I made these a bit cheaper. So I saw them on the price list yesterday and I thought, ah, damn it, I made them way too expensive. But yeah, this is quite fun, of course. And there's also one amelanistic palmetto left from the clutch. Oh, well, he's in full shed. Well, clutch 114, I just published the video yesterday or so, or 2 days ago, I think, because they were really tiny babies, but yeah, they are all, basically all feeding 4 to 5 times already. So this, for instance, is Hypo Lavender Tessera Striped male. Oh, we have, somebody's looking here as well, so Opal male. So they are feeding well and doing well. But yeah, they are still tiny, so I will offer them now because they had like 5 meals in a row. Or had some 3, but most 4 or 5 meals. But yeah, they are Yes, small. So keep that in mind. So they are really way smaller than than they should be, basically. Well, that's in full set. That's a shame. This is clutch 116. This is Red Factor A melanistic Tessera. This one is not in shed. That looks a bit better. Where's my lighting? Where's the zoom? So this is female Red Factor A melanistic Tessera striped. And they will be so bright. Well, they are already really bright red. What else from that clutch? I will try to zoom in. Let's see what it does. Well, this is quite okay, I think. So this is a male Red Factor A melanistic Sunrise Tessera striped. Who do we have here? Female Red Factor Snow Tessera stripe, maybe Sunrise. Oh, I'm totally not focusing on the snake. I will zoom out a bit. That makes it easier. From clutch 117, there were many males in the clutch, but this female is left. Hypo Motley Het Palmetto Caramel Amel Enery. So if you want to make palmetto combos, then she is a good one. And there are also, I think, 3 males left from the same clutch, which are Hypo Snow Tessera Motley Het Palmetto Caramel. So also powerful palmetto makers. Well, clutch 118. Well, he only had 1 meal, so palmetto amelanistic with a little bigger eye. So he's not the best feeder yet. What else do we have? Oh well, now we get in the territory of snakes with like 1 or 2 meals, so they might be ready for Nijmegen, but probably Houten will be better. This is clutch 119, a butter, maybe Super Tessera Het Scaleless Enery. And there's also a micro Scaleless butter. Still available. A female Het Enery. Rough. Well, here clutch 121. They have a little bit more feedings, I see. This one has 4, but let's check genetics before I say it wrong. So this is Ultramel Enery. Oh, Het Microscale Hypo Motley, also the Mimosa line. So it's basically the second clutch from clutch 60. But they are doing well. This is also funny, I think. Enery Tessera Motley. Clutch 123, also some cool ones left. This is a Sunkissed from a Mimosa line. And Sunkissed Tessera. And well, here, if I zoom out a bit, you can see them both. So this is way sort of more towards the orange-red, and this more the brown-yellowish or something. So I guess that's just the Mimosa that makes some more yellow. What else do we have from the same clutch? Now it's getting grainy again. Well, I'll just do it like this. If you are a good camera woman, let me know. And no, I'm just kidding. Well, on one hand, I should have somebody that films for me, but I'm a one-man band, I guess. This is a female Inferno Tessera, also from the Mimosa line. So Sunkissed Amelanistic Tessera. Oh, and some striped in the mix. Some female Sunkissed striped from Mimosa line, which also is not a typical dark red. So I really think the Mimosa, yeah, makes them colored nicer. What do we have? Well, clutch 125. Well, a nicely hidden one. Oop. No. Don't you want to be in the video? This is a Hypo Buff. Before he escapes, I will just close it. In the meantime, I will show you this. So clutch 125. So the one you just saw was a Hypo Buff Het Scaleless Caramel Amel Motley. This is a Buff Butter Het Scaleless Hypo Motley. So some Het Scaleless stuff. Also, from the same clutch, some Visual Scaleless. So this is a male. We also have, for instance, a female Scaleless Tessera that could be buff. And some a melanistic that could be orange, and this one I would guess it's an orange. So I think this is Scalar's Orange Tessera because it's so red, or yeah, so orangey compared to his brother, well, which is also really orangey. Well, they could both be orange, of course, but this one really is popping out to me. And is that the last from this clutch? Yeah, this is a Scalar's Amber, maybe buff Tessera. But yeah, it's so yellow, so I think it's actually also buff. But in caramel, it's difficult to see, so at least as a baby. Well, and then the last from, what is it, clutch 127. There's some mimosas left. But yeah, this one has had 2 males, so this is Mimosa Hypo Tessera. And we have a Ghost, for instance. So let's end with that one, because the other one is also hidden. So that was it for this rack. So yeah, if you want any of these, just let me know. The morph list link is below. Maybe some of them will be ready for Nijmegen, but Houten and Hamm would definitely be okay. So you can reserve them for those shows.